Hey guys, what's up? I don't know if this is a story of pure persistence, good winning over evil, or pure redemption. We're talking about a young man who had a lot of talent, loads of dreams, and great aspirations. He gets noticed by none other than the great Vikram Sarabhai, who has been the ISRO chairman then. He encourages him, he nurtures his talent, he finds something special about this young man, and he starts mentoring him. Vikram Sarabhai also encourages this young man to go ahead and study in Ivy League colleges, and he was also willing to give time off if the boy could manage to get into these Ivy League institutions. The boy promptly made it to Princeton University, and he had also secured a fellowship at NASA. Definitely not a small feat. We're talking about none other than Nambi Narayanan. The same Nambi Narayanan who was instrumental in developing the Vikas engine which was used to Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan. The same Nambi Narayanan who fathered the concept of using liquid fuel enabled engines in India. These are also called as the cryogenic engines. Cryogenic engines basically means that these engines would use liquid fuel at extremely low temperatures that would help the last stage of the rocket propel. We were primarily working with solid fuel engines back then. Nambi Narayanan had also been working alongside the legends like APJ Abdul Kalam, who was primarily focused on solid fuel engines. In 1994, India signs a contract with Russia for obtaining the knowledge transfer of these cryogenic engines back in India. There were two primary reasons for approaching Russia. One, the price that was being quoted was far lesser than other contemporaries like United States and France, and the technology that was being used was far superior than the other counterparts. It was all set. We were about to get these engines from Russia. For some strange reason, Russia decides to back out and not give us the engines. This is because of the increased pressure that the United States put on Russia. They also threatened Russia that they would receive no further support if the knowledge transfer goes to India. So Russia backed out. What we did was we scraped the idea of getting a knowledge transfer, and we wanted fabricated engines instead, along with two prototypes that we could use for educational purposes. It didn't, however, happen because of the spy case. Well, what's the spy case now? As it turned out, in 1994, Nambi Narayanan was falsely accused of leaking highly confidential secrets pertaining to flight test data for rockets and satellites to other intelligence officers. He was arrested, he was tortured physically and mentally for 50 days. During this time, he recollects that he was only upset with ISRO because they did not support him at that point in time and said they couldn't interfere in these matters. He was arrested by the Kerala police. However, it is interesting to note that two intelligence officers from Kerala police started pressurizing Nambi Narayanan to stick false allegations against his then superior. Nambi Narayanan resisted, and he was tortured physically and mentally. After a prolonged sequence of events, in 1996, CBI probed into the matter and declared that this was a phony case with no proper evidence, and Nambi Narayanan was set free. In 2001, he would retire from ISRO. However, in 2013, Nambi Narayanan pushed for justice. He wanted the officers who framed these cases against him, who harassed him, who tortured him physically and mentally, to face the legal consequences. The Supreme Court also ordered the Kerala government to compensate Nambi Narayanan, but he was not after that. He wanted people who harassed him, tortured him, framed all these false litigations against him punished, because he wanted to make sure that nobody else goes through what he has gone through. And he also wanted to instill that faith in the youth. The Supreme Court then formed a 3-member committee to probe into the matter and look into this as soon as possible and bring to the surface who were the real culprits behind this. There are a lot of suspicious theories around this. One theory states that there were two Maldivian women who overstayed their visa in India. And when these women went to renew their visas to the officials misbehaved with them and they wanted other sexual favors from these women. The women, frustrated, wanted to report it to the higher authorities, and the officials started panicking. So they wanted to get rid of this somehow, and they started framing these women who overstayed their visa in India as intelligence officers from Maldives. They fabricated documentation, bank accounts, and they were directly coordinating with officials in CIA. So once that has been established, they needed to find a source that they could map to the situation, saying that the secret information was being leaked. So that's how they framed Nambi Narayanan into this equation. Another theory states that there was some foreign hand because they did not want India to be part of this race where they had the cryogenic engines technology. because they wanted India out of the race and they didn't want India to have a slice of the pie. Because GSLVs and the business amounts to 300 crores, and if the technology falls into the hands of India, they were scared that we would come up with efficient solutions and cheaper solutions, and nobody wanted to risk that. So maybe there is a foreign hand, is what one theory suggests. The third theory, however, is the opposition government at that point in time wanted to bring down the ruling party, and they needed some sort of disturbance like this to shake the whole thing and drive them off focus, so that they would bring the government down, so that the opposition party would go ahead and win the election. So all these theories, however, have their own loopholes, and there is no proper evidence as to what could have been the exact reason, but the man definitely did suffer. Did he really deserve this? A man who came back to India because he wanted to use the technology that he had learned. He came back as an expert in liquid propulsion engines. He wanted to do that, use this knowledge for the benefit of ISRO and for the benefit of the country. Did he have to go through all this? Only the time will tell. Supreme Court, however, in the first week of April has suggested further probe into the case and to uncover the truth as soon as possible and make sure people who wronged in their respective duties should face the legal consequences. Let's hope this man gets justice for the time he has lost and for the circumstances he has faced. There's a movie that's coming out called Rocketry very soon, and Nambi Narayanan says that the way this movie has been documented is truth and nothing but the truth. Hope everybody gets an insider look on what the man went through. Thank you so much for being patient. Stay with me until I bring you another interesting session. Until then, my name is Casey, signing off. Ciao.